Hi there, it's Matt Denning reporting in from Caboolture, Queensland, Australia, where we're restoring Kermit's CAC Boomerang wing centre section from his World War II fighter plane, serial number A46174. If you've seen some of the earlier episodes from here, you'll be aware that the wing centre section came from very humble beginnings. It was left abandoned on a wartime airstrip in New Guinea during the Second World War and was recovered 30 years later in 1974. Kermit obtained the wing centre section along with the rest of the aeroplane that remained in the early 1980s, and the rebuild of his entire boomerang has been ongoing here at Caboolture for the last few years. So this episode should cover the last couple of weeks that we've spent actually riveting the whole wing centre section together. It's an enormous task that has to be done in specific stages so that you don't back yourself into a corner and find an area that can't be riveted. So we're very happy with the way it's all been going together, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, the time's arrived to take the upper forward skin off the wing centre section that's in the jig. All the riveting holes have been pre-drilled, at least to the decimal drill size, and they'll be taken out to number drills as we actually do the riveting. So as you can see, there's still hundreds of CAC pins to come out, which Scott is currently doing. So once they're all removed, the skin can actually come away from the underlying corrugate panel, and we can start to rivet on the wing attach angles that rivet down both ends of the wing centre section, and they'll be bolted into the jig once the skin has been riveted to those attach angles. Anyway, Scott will continue, and we'll come back a little bit later when we've removed all the CAC pins. Alright, all the pins are out, bar a couple. Scott's just checking that it's all right to peel off. So the upper skin's ready to come off, hopefully for the last time before it goes back on finally. So just the final CAC pins coming out. Okay, so Scott's got the upper skin removed now, and we're just going to lay it down on the workbench. Yeah, Scott's just squeezing up a couple of rivets into a bit of an angle, but he's also been working on the upper skin of the wing centre section. So we've got inspection panels new that have been made. The wing attach angles have been riveted in place in a few segments, so you can see all these lines that line up with the top of the corrugate panel from the centre section haven't been riveted yet, but we needed to do these because the tails of the rivets won't be accessible underneath the corrugate section if we try to do it later on. So there's also a whole lot of CAC pins holding on doubler panels underneath both ends of this upper wing centre section skin. You can see here also there's access to a fitting that connects the breather pipe of the fuel tank underneath. So they're the original doubler panels that sit in underneath there, and then samples of the old inspection panels sitting underneath as well. A few of the leading edge ribs from the wing centre section just getting some minor riveting done, and over this side as well we also have the doubler panel underneath with all the riveting done to the wing centre section. Attachment angles, less the rivets that will go through the corrugate section itself once this skin gets offered back up inside the jig. The overall view of the wing centre section in the jig is shown here prior to the upper forward skin being located back in position and riveted onto this large corrugate panel. So there's lots of rows of rivets that had to go into this corrugated panel prior to us putting the top skin back in place, because you'll never get access to the rivet heads or tails once the top skin is there. So yeah, myriad rows of rivets all had to go in the correct place to pick up other bits of stiffeners and fuel tank supports on the other side of this panel. The large undercarriage support castings aren't yet complete, but we need to do more reference drilling once the top skin's gone back in place, and they'll be able to be detached separately once that's done. So yeah, it's a fairly rare view of this corrugate panel of its upper surface prior to the upper skin going back in place, which should happen very soon. Also up here we have the trailing edge ribs, and we still have the underside trailing skin in place, just pinned in there for now, just to provide a little bit of additional support to all these ribs and stringers, because the trailing edge upper skin will also be going on soon once this forward skin is put back in place. So we'll actually see if we can just get your attach angle in place down there with general location. Yep. And I'll take she's not going anywhere now. The rear upper wing centre section skin's now been put into place, and you can see the attach angles are up against the face of the end plates of the jig. The upper forward skin was put in earlier, and all of its Cleco pins are in place now. Scott's just proceeding with putting more Cleco pins into the upper rear skin. So we'll be commencing the riveting on both of these panels fairly shortly, starting with the forward upper skin in this middle area here. We've now reached a stage where all the Cleco pins are in place to hold both the upper forward and upper rear skins of the wing centre section in place as we prepare to do the riveting. So as you can see, not every rivet hole has a Cleco pin in it. Scott is currently on the other side of the wing centre section, and he's clearing those holes down to the final number drill size, which for 1/8 rivets is a number 30 drill, and we stagger over more to 532 holes, number 21 drill. So we can just see on the other side here the corrugate panel, which is the original one from Boomerang 174, recovered from New Guinea in the mid-1970s, all restored. So it controls the position of the rivet holes because it's already been previously riveted, and it's a brand new skin on the top side. So just at the moment, Scott is actually clearing all the rivet holes using the corrugate rivet hole as a guide to go back the other way through the new skin. So we're just going to rivet this inboard section of the wing centre section first, and then we'll move outboard from there, and that'll make sure that there's no ripples or additional stresses placed on the wing centre section overall shape as we rivet, and it should eventually just be removed from this jig without any twists or misalignments. first section of riveting has now been completed, and that's down the centre of the wing centre section. So we're tying in the upper skin and the corrugate with the centre rib on the underside of the wing centre section. So you can see this whole series of 1/8 rivets here now are in place. So we'll just keep moving our way outwards across the from the middle to the sides on the wing centre section as we go. Okay, a bit of riveting from Scott's side. Okay, rivet. Good. All right, from the tail side of the rivet. Okay, rivet. Good. Okay, rivet. Good. That'll be a 5 on those ones. Oh, yeah. It's just those 2 are 5s and the rest are 6s. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's 5. Yep. Okay, rivet. Good. So the riveting process has been advancing. All this centre portion of the forward upper skin has been riveted, and you can see all of the raised universal head rivets through there. These also extend outboard of the middle section up until the line of anchor nuts or nut plates, which will take the wing fillets that come down off the fuselage. So at that point it starts to become flush riveted. The holes are countersunk to take the flush rivet. You can see some other countersunk holes there ready to take rivets. Scott's just removing small clecos just so that we can keep riveting forward into these outboard areas. Just pop around to the other side of the wing centre section. So you can see all the tails in there now of all the rivets that we've been driving. So everything in this mid area where the fuel tanks will be located has been riveted. We're yet to rivet through the spar caps. Here's the line of rivet holes through the rear spar cap, and also down here the rivet holes still to go through the forward spar cap. However, the centre section's now starting to get very strong and firm just with the riveting that's already been done. So we'll keep going and eventually get all this midsection done, and then we'll move forward up onto the trailing edge of the wing centre section. So progress is being made with the riveting of the upper forward skin of the wing centre section. Most of the rivets are now in place. You can see this midsection is occupied by mostly universal head or raised head rivets, and then as we move outboard they become flush riveted, which is the area beyond the wing fillets and that part of the wing centre section that's exposed to the outside airflow. So there's a slight raised section through here as well that's as per the original design, because there's a 71 thou thick or almost 2mm thick doubler plate that sits underneath this whole area at both ends to provide additional strength around the undercarriage support casting. So that's all going well, and we should continue to rivet up these outer areas of the wing centre section. And then move on to the trailing edge beyond that. The leading edge at this point in time is just the outer skin extension past the front spar. So we're looking at the underside of the leading edge here. I'll soon add all the ribs and stringers back into here for its final location, and then they will also be riveted into position. Here on the bench is some of the stringer and ribs for the leading edge assembly of the wing centre section. So these have just been pre-riveted to make assembly onto the outer skin easier later on. So you can see there's various rivets being placed into little clip angles here just to hold the ribs to the stringers. Some of those areas can be difficult to get to once you've actually got all of this assembled up in place. So this pre-riveting will help all that. So yeah, a brand new set of nose ribs for the wing centre section, and just laid out over here ready for some protective paint as well are all the fuel pipes and electrical conduits that will also be installed into the wing centre section trailing edge soon. So as part of the wing centre section rebuild, the wing flaps also have to be constructed, which are located on the underside of the trailing edge of the wing centre section. So in the foreground we have the left hand side flap, and it's been fairly heavily damaged from 70 or 80 odd years of sitting around in the jungle and being moved from place to place, and just general corrosion and effects. So obviously it's no longer able to be used, but we've got Scott is reproducing this with all brand new material and just setting all that up now. So you can see it's got a hat section main channel down through the centre, which provides a lot of strength, and Scott is just setting all that up now, drilling in all these little clip angles which sit in amongst all these little corners between the hat section and the ribs that go through. So the hinge on the forward edge of the flaps here, along with the bit of stiffening angle that's part of it, has already been pre-set up. There's the original along there. And as Scott's been putting all this together, he's been taking it back up to the wing centre section from time to time and just doing a checked location of it, make sure the hinge is working fine, but it's all coming together very well. Yeah, so Scott's just inserting the hinge wire for a trial fit into these pre-assembled trial fit flaps, just to see how it's going. So just doing a trial installation there, make sure there's no binding on the hinge, that all the ribs are missing, all the underlying ribs up there as well. So we might just pop up, we'll have a look at this as well. So you can see there's the ribs of the trailing edge of the wing centre section, and they all have to miss the ribs in the flaps, of course. And we'll have a look in this later on too, when the flap ram is actually installed in here. So that's the left hand flap, and the right hand flap has also been pre-assembled, and it's just sitting in there, sitting up nicely against the wing centre section. So once all these are in place, we'll look at putting the trailing edge pieces along these flaps as well. So to summarise where we're at from over the last 2 weeks, the wing centre section is now almost completely riveted together on the upper skin. So all of the rivets that attach the wing attach angles, or the flush riveting that is required on the outer sections, as well as all the universal head rivets on the inner sections that are outside of the airflow, has all been completed. You can see the odd cleco pin here and there, and they still occupy areas where bolts need to go in rather than rivets. The whole rear section here, the upper rear skin, is all riveted in place, and also we've bolted the centre panel in place here in the cutout in the trailing edge, just so that we can set up the flaps on the other side. We'll just walk around the corner, and it's pretty late afternoon here now. Scott, my sheet metal guy, has gone home for the day, so I can just do this bit of a summary for you of where we're at. The underside of the trailing edge is shown here with all the rivet tails showing through. This area is all about to be reprimed, and that will give a nice protective coating to all the exposed rivets and any other bare metals, such as with these anchor nut line through here, which will take the wing fillets. All this will be primed so that we can now start putting the systems in place in here. Just this bracket visible here is for the fuel selector valve. Got another one here, which is a special bracket that's been machined to take the aileron pulley guides. In this overall view of the underside of the wing centre section, you can see that in the fuel tank bays here, all of the rivets that were required to attach the upper skin to the corrugate section in this area have also now been put in. All the anchor nuts and other fittings are also in place. Just to remind you, this corrugate panel is the original out of the 174 wing centre section that came out of New Guinea. So it was able to be completely dismantled out of the old centre section, everything removed, completely inspected, any corrosion treated and removed. So it's remarkable that this original corrugate panel is still in terrific condition and has been used here for the airworthy rebuild of this wing centre section. That also goes for the centre rib down through here, which separates the two fuel tanks. And if we look closely down here, where I haven't rubbed back the original primer, you can still see the date from which this particular centre rib was made, back on the 20th of August 1943, complete with inspector's stamp. So quite a few of the original parts out of the 174 centre section have been able to be reused in this rebuild. Just down a bit lower, you can also see here we've got all the nose ribs in place for the leading edge of the wing centre section. There's just a little minor rib down here that's just being formed up right now. It will be finished off in conjunction with the leading edge when that is installed as well. But yeah, pretty much all these ribs are now in place. They're all riveted in. We've just got a couple of rivets to go where the ribs attach up onto angles off the front spar. And further up on the wing centre section, you can see that Scott's been setting up the wing flaps up here. So I'll just bring in another stand and we'll get up a bit higher and have a look in this area. And this region in here between the rear spar and the flap support spar is where a whole lot of services go. So we've got fuel pipes, we've got electrical conduits that all sit in here. As you can see, all of the rivet tails remain unpainted, as do the anchor nuts. All this area is about to be primed, and then all of those systems I just mentioned will be installed very soon. So we have also some fittings, as one here, another over here. When the boomerangs needed to be ferried from Melbourne in the southern part of Australia up to New Guinea, they were fitted with a belly tank which held 70 gallons of fuel. So quite a large capacity, quite heavy. The tank needed to be withheld or restrained on the underside of the wing centre section by 3 points. There was a hook just in this position which will be going back in, and there were two spigots on the top side of the fuel tank which inserted into sockets mounted on the rear fuse. So these are the two sockets, original castings out of the 174 wing centre section. And you can also probably notice there's a little bit of elongation out the side of this socket. So the spigot that was in the fuel tank didn't quite align with the hole here. The other casting has a perfectly round hole. This side had some elongation to the spigot insertion point. So it probably rattled around a bit in there and caused some chafing on its flight between Melbourne and New Guinea. The aeroplane only flew for 79.5 hours before it had its rollover accident in New Guinea, so not a lot of time in the air. Obviously just enough wear in that area to cause that elongation. The fuel selector valve will be mounted there, and aileron pulleys will eventually be mounted into this very exquisite casting to take the aileron cables. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this update on the rebuild of Kermit's CAC Boomerang wing centre section. We'll cover more work into the future as we install fuel tanks and more services into the trailing edge of this particular part of the aeroplane. Bye for now.